Okay, here we have two 4K TVs. This one obviously has some issues. The screen is broken several places, not working very well at all. This other one here is in the same boat. These are relatively brand new screens. Seems a shame to throw them out. Let's see what we can do with them. Okay, here's the Samsung 32-inch 4K screen. It's already taken apart here. I'm going to show you the pieces. This is the bezel. It's broken. It's actually not much to these things. First here we have the broken LCD panel. Just a piece of glass. It's actually pretty amazing how thin this is. This is the entire TV. This is broken, so not much else that can be used here. Under that, we have the diffusing panel for the backlight of the screen. And underneath that, just the backlight LEDs with some sort of white plastic backing here. Underneath that is some flexible PCBs that power the LCDs, the LED lights rather. And on the back side, there's the plastic clamshell and the main board of the TV. That's it. Nothing much to them. So, I'll have to give it some thought and see if we can do something with this stuff. So, I think I thought of one idea. I have a box of these NeoPixel addressable LEDs in reels, and I've wanted to make a matrix screen for quite some time, and I thought the TV would make a pretty good case. We'll just turn a 4K TV into a much lower resolution using lines of LED strips. I think with all of them laid out, we can make a message board, we can make a display, we can even display animated GIFs and pixel art, all that kind of stuff. Also, the diffuser on here would make it look pretty good. It would kind of blur it all together. I think that's what we'll do. Okay, so I've hooked up a reel of the NeoPixels to an Arduino here. I just loaded a strand test example program. This is all running on an ESP8266 built-in Wi-Fi. They're really great little modules actually. They're really cheap and they have a lot of functionality. This is all part of the Adafruit NeoPixel library, so we can just load it in to test the reel. It runs through a variety of test routines here, just rotating the colors, doing strobes, changing colors, that kind of thing. So it looks like this is all working here. I think I'm going to try doing a scrolling marquee next, just to show what the pixels laid out in a matrix fashion on the screen would look like. Here's the same thing with a matrix display. This is really just rough prototype, just glued to a board. Give the general idea of what we want to do with the TV. Okay, here's the same matrix, really rough LED matrix display with a scrolling marquee. Probably can't tell, but it is saying howdy. So you can arrange these in a bunch of different ways. You can have the LEDs arranged as in rows or columns. Basically here I have it hooked up in the bottom left, and it goes in a zigzag pattern at the end, hooks onto the end, goes back the other way. The library lets you configure it in any way you want with rows or columns, progressive or zigzag, starting at any quarter you want. It's really quite flexible. This is again an Adafruit test library, test example program. So I think with this we can expand. We can fill a whole screen. We can do much more elaborate patterns, but now I think we have a test that's working well. And now it's just to continue with the rest of the build. Let's see how we go. So here's the same scrolling marquee matrix display, but just with the old TV's diffuser on top of it. I was hoping this would make it look a little bit better, maybe not have the individual LEDs quite so visible. I think it gets that across to some degree. If you look really close, you can still see the individual LEDs underneath, but maybe we can play around with this and see how this works a little bit later. But in general, I like how this looks. It's definitely better than having the raw LEDs exposed. This makes it look like a little bit of this makes it look more like a real LED screen here. So let's see what happens when we go throughout the build. Maybe we can make this look a little bit better. So one idea I had for the LED mounts is to use this poster board from Staples I had lying around. It's kind of a plastic type cardboard, should be sturdy enough. I think I can cut it down to fit inside the TV frame, and then I can put the diffuser on top of it, finish it off with a frame. Should look pretty good. So I'll cut this down and see how it looks. Alright, so we've now cut the poster board down to size so that it fits nicely within the existing TV frame. So the plan now will be to add these rows of LED strips back and forth. I'm going to try and glue them on the top and wire them up in a zigzag pattern like the proto board we had previously. So we'll put that together, we'll see how it looks. Here we have the end result of the LED strips painstakingly soldered together and glued onto the presentation white Bristol board. So this is in a zigzag pattern. At the end of each strip connects to the next one, so it just loops back and forth, and basically just hot glue gunned each strip to the backing. Here's just the simple LED strand test, making sure all the connections are soldered correctly. Didn't mess anything up when I was gluing it on the board. Everything looks good. Here's the end result with all the LEDs glued to the board. I just wrapped around the wires on the back and glued them down on each side. And here's what the panel looks like mounted in the original plastic frame of the TV. I liked to take out the aluminum back panel just because the frame, the black bezel, wouldn't fit on top of everything. But this looks like it fits pretty well. I'll try and put on the diffuser on top and it'll look more like a screen. We'll see how that looks. Alright, this is getting closer to what I originally had in mind with this project. You'll see when the LEDs were off, you can't really see them. It just looks like a white background with the diffuser in there. But when they're on, you can see the distinct lit dot. So the next step will be to permanently mount this in place and then see if we can generate some actual images and marquee text. Alright, here we're ready to generate some LED patterns. For this we're going to use a program called Jinx LED Matrix Control. This is a pretty great program. It has a lot of built-in patterns and basically just outputs it through a serial protocol. Serial protocol is called Gladiator. It's another application you can use to generate patterns. So as you can see, there's a lot of different patterns here. You can do fire, bouncing balls, scrolling text. So you can also make a scene list of your favorite scenes here, and you can actually have two different sides, left and right. You can fade in and out. This is very much like a DJ application here. Another great thing about this application is you can also do import GIFs and make some pixel art. So I have Mario here, some Nintendo pixel art. We can see how it looks on the screen. And we have Link as well. I'm using an Arduino Uno here. All we do is just load the corresponding sketch, connect to the right pin, and we're good to go. So we're going to wire that up and we'll see how these patterns look on our display.